Okay, folks, well, welcome back to the channel. It's Chris here from MoDXtra Games and Collectibles, and it's time for another action figure review. But you're not just getting one action figure review, it's actually a triple build today, because we're going to take a look at the Eagle Force versus Riot, Count Ironmoon, here he is, the Kiloworg, here he is, and the Legionnaire Crimson Moon Undead Soldier figure. So stick around, folks. I'm going to give you the ins and outs, ups and downs of these figures, so that if you've been thinking about picking one up for yourself, or all three up for yourself, as the case may be, then hopefully I'll give you enough of a thorough review and all the information you need to know to make a purchase decision. I'll also do... we all know what we're looking at here. I'll also do the Battle Action Force jiggery-pokery with the accessories and turn these into the characters that we actually want them to be. So stay to the end for that. All right, ladies and gents, let's get into it and let's go back and meet Chris when he first got the figures. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick look at the packaging of each. I'm not going to do a full top-down unboxing because I'm going to try and cover three figures in one video today. But here is Count Ironmoon. You can see it's on this really cute Eagle Force kind of card back setup with the blister pack on the front showing off the figure. All the goodies appear to be bagged up behind the figure there. And then on the other side, there's a little bit of a character bio there. I'll let you pause it and read that if you're interested. I'm not going to read it out. The character with a little kind of piece of artwork in the top left corner here. And then the Series 8 figures listed off. The three I'm looking at today are Count Ironmoon, the Kiloworg, and the Legionnaire, the Crimson Moon Undead Soldier. Marketing and legal bollocks all there across the bottom. And that's it. It's a card back piece. There's the Crimson Moon Undead Soldier. Same again, card back, with the Eagle Force logo and motif at the top there, versus Riot. Bit of artwork down the left-hand side of the box. Blister pack showing off the figure with his really gross undead soldier face, although I'm obviously not interested in the gross undead soldier face. We'll talk about that in a bit. Artwork again, character bio again, the same Series 8 roll call. For collectors across the back, same legal bollocks there on the Crimson Undead Soldier. And then here's the Kiloworg, piece of Kiloworg artwork, same logo and everything, same blister pack jobby. Kiloworg with his werewolfy head and hands there, but again, I'm less interested in that as I'm in some of the swappable action that I'm going to be getting up to behind it there. Artwork, character profile, bio, and the roll call, the collector's roll call again. So I'm going to go away and pop these bad boys open off camera now. I don't think the unboxing experience here will be too much of an omission for the purposes of this review video. You can see that it's just a plastic edge around the sides and then just slide the cardboard off across the top and then get all the goodies out the back, which appear to be, if I get that in focus, you can see in the baggies at the back there. So I'm going to get them opened up, have a bit of playtime, and I'll be back with some review thoughts in a few days' time. Okay, well, here's the count. Out just straight out of packaging. I've not applied any accessories, put him on the stand or anything like that. And, regulars around these parts will know that this is more of a 6-inch channel. This is a 4-inch figure, and it's my first foray into this space, mostly because of the Battle Action Force shenanigans I want to pull with swapping the accessories and whatnot. But I've got to say, for a 4-inch figure out of the packet, for someone who collects 6-inch more frequently, we'll talk about articulation in a moment, but I'm really quite impressed with the sculpt quality and the paint applications, for sure. And if you get up nice and close, look at all this lovely texture detail, the creases and folds in his uniform, the fabric texture there, the quality of the paint application with the logo on the front and the red and black sections of his uniform, little bits of paint just around here to finish off the gloves, and obviously the boots coming up the legs there, really well applied, and actually comes together as a nice little picture. And look at his belt across the middle too, sculpted detail in the belt, painted belt buckle, nice. I love it when a belt buckle's painted. If anything, I'd probably say the area of sculpting that has least blown me away is the head sculpt. But even then, for the scale, you've got to pause and appreciate what they've managed to achieve. Okay, so I like a nice detailed head sculpt, and it doesn't compare to a 6-inch, G.I. Joe classified. But look at the paint applications are all neatly applied. We've got the sculpted eye patch there, the eyes and the eyebrows. There's definitely some features, defined features in there. It's just a bit kind of wide and flat. And the hair sculpted too. Look at that. Look at the sculpting on the hair. Lovely. So very pleasantly surprised as someone who primarily collects 6-inch figures, as to the sculpting quality and the aesthetic visual experience I'm getting from the figure there. So I've got to confess, I obviously had an agenda in terms of wanting a little Battle Action Force display, but I have been pleasantly surprised by the sculpting quality and the paint application quality and the overall aesthetic and visual experience for someone who primarily collects 6-inch figures. Yeah, nice looking. The light's making him glow a little bit, though. There you go. I've turned the lights down a little bit just to get some shadow in there so you can get a better appreciation of the contour and creases and fabric effects and stuff. Look at that. Really impressive. I mean, if I spin him round, I like this little bit of armour padding under the arms there. I tell you what, my rig's set up for a 6-inch figure, and so I'm struggling to keep the the 4-incher in focus. I like the pockets on his arse cheeks there. You can see the sculpting in the belt goes all the way around with the belt loops painted over the top. Yeah, I'm really, I've got to say, I'm like, wow. Same again for the Kiloworg here. I mean, I know I've not bought the figures to use as this kind of supernatural narrative piece of storytelling that surrounds the Crimson Moon stuff that Fresh Monkey Fiction are doing. I'm obviously playing their game, again, to reiterate, to do the Battle Action Force stuff. But I gotta say, for a 4-inch figure, again, I'm pretty impressed with that head sculpt. Look at that. That's a proper nice, mean, menacing piece of werewolf action. And if we get up nice and close, got that little kind of supernatural glow in the eyes. Look at the paint applications and the sculpting on the mouth, the teeth, those sharp, nasty teeth, and the gums and the tongue and everything. It's actually super impressive. And the big old sideburns and beard and stuff, the hair sculpt. And down through the body of the figure, the same sort of fabric textures and creases, paint applications on the buckles on the front here, pockets and such like. Yeah, wow, I'm actually I am suitably impressed for my first step into a 4-inch figure space. Oh man, this is going to be problematic, isn't it? And here's the undead infantry soldier again. For the size and scale and what they're working with, look at this sculpting on that. Look at the head sculpt there with. I love this mat of hair down the side there. I think that's a really nice touch. But that's all sculpted in. All the paint applications applied. Again, look at the quality of detail on the teeth and the mouth. There's like Toddy out there, McFarlane. That's how you do a mouth. Unbelievable. And then the body, of course, is, to all intents and purposes, the same as the Kiloworg, but with the paint scheme reversed. So you got the red shoulders with the black body rather than the red body with the black shoulder pieces there. But look at all the sculpting and texture details in there. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm really struggling to keep things in focus. I'm not very experienced with manhandling 4-inch figures on screen. But yeah, gotta say, pretty impressed with the visual experience that I'm getting off these. The webbing on this one and on the Kiloworg, with those magazines and grenades, I'm loving the sculpted detail, but they do look a bit chunky. They're a bit bulky and they don't sit particularly flush to the character, which is standing out to me. But I'm planning on taking those off anyway, so that's fine. This guy actually comes with a shoulder holster, which I'll probably be using on him as well. So yeah, looking good, man, looking good. Really impressive figures, actually, for the size and scale. Oh, man. My wife is so going to divorce me. So you probably detected from my voice that I've been pleasantly surprised. The visual experience is way better than I imagined them to be at this scale. Some folks may drop into the comments, frequent 4-inch collectors might say, no, it's pretty standard nowadays, Chris. But for me, as a first step into the modern 4-inch, I'm pretty well taken aback, frankly, and really impressed with the visual experience. So as far as aesthetic goes, these three bad boys get a thumbs up from me for sure. Okay, well, that's the aesthetic then. Let's have a quick look at the articulation. Because the articulation scheme is the same on all three, I'll just use one figure to walk you through it. All right, then, getting started with the head. It's a ball at the base of the head, but no joints at the bottom of the neck, no hinges or anything. But it does give you a decent amount of movement. You can get all the way around, full 360 X-assist. There's some tilt, good down, fairly decent up. So it's not too bad, even despite the fact that there's no additional articulation in the neck area. Then the shoulders here are on a peg and hinge, so you can go all the way around, full 360, and then you can hinge it out up, well, pretty high up actually, like that. Got a single elbow that will hinge up to there, and then it's also can rotate in and out like that. And then the hands are pegged in, giving you swivel at the wrist, and then various different hands have either up and down or in and out, depending on which hands you select. These ones that are on the figure out the packet are up and down hinges there. There's no torso articulation in the main body. I suspect it's too small to engineer that, but you do have a ball in the waist here, giving you a bit of movement and some swivel and such like. It's on a ball at the groin as well, giving you really good forward, full Russian ballet splits, and decent back. There's a thigh cut there, folks, which is quite insane to me when you consider the size of the plastic. You got a pin double knee that'll get you up to there. And then on the feet here, you can see the sort of hinge and rocker ball joint there, so you can get forward and back. And there's a little bit of rock in the boot as well, although it's ever so slightly obstructed by the lower cut of the boot there. You might be curious around the werewolf head, whether that's got any impact on the head articulation. It does not. Full 360 available to you there. The only thing to note on the bodies when they've got the webbing on is that the webbing gets in the way a bit of that waist articulation. Also, the waist on the Kiloworg and on the infantry trooper, which I keep wanting to call the Black Major, was a little bit tight, but everything else is pretty loosey-goosey and quite silky and responsive. So I don't have much experience with 4-inch figures to know if that's a good range of articulation or not. I believe it is. I mean, from past experience, I think it looks pretty good. And if I was to compare it to, say, a Super 7 in a 4-inch range, you've got a lot more going on there. Obviously, much more modern, more contemporary in nature than your kind of standard 5 points of articulation situation. And once again, I've been pleasantly surprised. The capacity, the areas of opportunity I've managed to explore playing with these figures for the last day or two has been really quite impressive, and I've got some nice little poses out of them, all told, so I'm very pleased with that. So yeah, I think I'm going to give it a thumbs up on articulation as well for these guys. I'm actually, again, pleasantly surprised. So there you go, there's articulation. All right, well, let's take a look at the accessory selection. I need to make a bit of a decision as to how I'm going to do that, because I've sort of piled it all up together. But I'll show you some of the goodies that came along with them, shall I? Okay, well, let's get started with Count Ironmoon's accessory selection, shall we? And look at all the wealth of goodies that comes with him. Each of the figures comes with this Eagle Force foot stand. You can see it's got 2 pegs on it there. One's slightly shorter and fatter at the front, and one's a little bit more narrow and smaller at the back. This is because you can see on the base of the feet there that they've put 2 different peg holes in, a shorter and fatter one at the front and a narrower, taller one at the back. So your Carl Pilkington to your Steve Merchant there. And so you just got to make sure, you're positioning the feet correct when it comes to placing him on the foot stand there. Then you've got a wide selection of hand swaps. There's the 2 werewolf hand swaps, which are the weapon holding hand swaps there that match up with the ones that are on the Kiloworg. You then got 3 pairs in the black gloves. You've got the closed fists. You got the open palm, maniacal evil genius claw, and then like a holdy hand, but not with the trigger finger out, if you know what I mean. These are very easy to swap out. I had some misgivings about the smaller scale and whether that would cause me some difficulties swapping the hands out, but not the case at all. Simple, pull the hands out on the pegs, pop the new pegs in, they clunk in nice and satisfying, they feel secure, and I didn't feel like I was at any risk of, like bending the pegs or anything. So yeah, lovely hand swap selection that opens up your range of possibilities with how you pose and display, the storytelling you want to do with your figure. Then the Major has 2 little shooty pew-pew pistols, got a really nice sort of retro, I don't know what you call it, like kind of 50s, 60s, lads comic book ray gun vibe about them, which is lovely. Single piece of molded plastic in this kind of metallic silver colour here. They're sculpted all right. They're a little bit shaky, but they're fine. Again, I don't know if this is traditional for the scale, but the guns seem a little bit flimsy, but that's fine. What I have struggled with is getting them into his shooty hands. It's a little bit of a fidget and a faff getting the trigger finger into the trigger guard there. And as you can see, the size of the handle is just a little bit wider. And so it's the ray gun, shooty gun, looks a little uncomfortable in his hand there. Yeah, there you go. If I turn it around from this side, you can sort of see there how I've had to bend the trigger finger up to get it to fit in, and yeah, it looks a bit janky. Then we have his cap there. I've just popped it on the end of a little piece of plastic tubing that I've got. Ignore my tremory hands, but it's all right. Yeah, it's got some nice contour, shape, and design in it, and there is some sculpted detail and some fabric texture in there. The badge at the front is, I don't know, just a little splodgy and lacks definition, but again, I suspect that's because of what's possible with the scale of the figure, but it's nice. It's not a great fit on the head either. You can see there that it looks a bit wide-rimmed and a bit big and sort of sitting right at the top of his head rather than coming sort of down properly enough. You can finesse it into a better-looking state. I've obviously just chucked that on for the purposes of filming this, but yeah, the hat's not the best piece of work in all this. Then we got the first head swap here, which is clearly a Red Shadow Infantry soldier there. This is nice. I like the shape of the sculpt there. Look at the helmet contours on there. Nice paint applications with the black visor and the white little peaky eyes in there, and the paint application of the, he says in speech marks, crimson moon symbol on there. Some sculpted details in here at the back as well. Lovely little head sculpt. I'll obviously be returning to this one when I get to the Kiloworg. And then the Count comes with an extra head, a werewolfy head as well, so you can have him being the werewolf leader of your crazy undead army if you're leaning more into the kind of occult supernatural narrative story that surrounds these figures, these characters. Next up, the undead infantry soldiers selection. Again, a wealth of riches with that. Footstand as standard, like we've just seen with the Count. You can see that he comes with the same hand swap selection as the Count as well, or the Baron, as I keep wanting to say. So we've got the holdy hands, the open palm, maniacal claw, the fists, and then the werewolf alternative. And these swap using the same mechanism that you use on all of them, the pegged out, peg in approach. Here's his weapons loadout, a lot less kind of retro sci-fi in tone than the Count's. He's got basically an AK-47, what's that, a Beretta 9mm, and a Walter PPK. Let me know in the comments down below if I got that right. I'll be very impressed if I've nailed the weapon names. But single pieces of molded plastic, and the same criticism really as I had for the ray guns on the Count is just they're a little bit plain, but they've attempted to sculpt some detail in. You know, look, you can see like on the magazine and there the rifle's looking decent. If anything, this little tiny Walter PPK is the one that's got the least amount of detail on. But yeah, fine weapon selection for a soldier of this nature. He does have a little thigh holster here, actually, on his right leg that you can pop the larger 9mm handgun into. And then he also comes with this additional shoulder holster, or I don't know what you call that. But for the little Walter PPK with some shoulder straps on there. But this is all right. It's kind of a thin, rubbery bit of plastic. There's a bit of sculpted detail on the back there. You can see where the straps are bolted to this little section here, and there's a bit of detail around the holster itself, and the little Walter PPK slots in there quite nicely like that. Nice snug fit. The undead soldier also comes with a little red beret. Again, nice, lovely, neat paint application on the front. Accompanying my hand trembles here with some nice shape and contour to make it look very beret-esque, with a nice little paint application of a black elasticated rim on that. Again, it doesn't fit so great on the head. It's very similar to the situation with the Count, but it's a lovely touch for, again, giving you a variety of options with your figures. Then we have this lovely head swap here, which is an older gentleman with grey hair and a little clearly evil moustache and goatee. Well, so very much more nicely sculpted than the standard head sculpt on the Count, with all the kind of creases and contours in there, the paint applications around the eyes, the eyebrows, the facial hair, etc., etc. There's definitely like a little bit of a evil smirk thing and a slightly raised eyebrow going on there, which I particularly enjoy. Again, I'll revisit this one because my intention is to slam this head on the Count to make myself a Baron Ironblood. And while I'm on that subject, He comes with this helmet, which looks strongly inspired by Baron Ironblood's headgear there. So big open visored front there. Then you've got some sculpted details to bring it to life. A single piece of molded plastic. It's quite soft, quite squishy, if I squish it in my fingers there. But yeah, lovely touch. And of course, I'm going to be popping that on the Count's body imminently. Then we have a black helmet version of the Red Shadow Infantry Trooper, Red Laser, etc., etc. Again, nice paint applications, although you can see that I've got some knocks and scrapes on mine as it came out the little baggie there, so some of the other accessories in the bag have scratched it up. But this is nice. I'm probably not going to use this one as much because I want the face sculpts on the figures, but that's nice. And then finally, we've got a wolf swap head sculpt here. But this one's slightly different. You can see it's got these kind of grey hair streaks within it to make this one look like a more of an older, more experienced werewolf in the field. But you got to look at the sculpting detail on the mouth. Loving the teeth and the kind of supernaturally glowing eyes. Really great work there. And then finally, we've got the Kiloworg accessory selection here, which is basically the same loadout as the others. We've got the hand swap selection there, and it's the same selection of hand swaps. Red laser head, AK-47, the foot base, the beret. The key difference in this one is this head swap here, which is a standard, human head swap male, fighting age male with a 5 o'clock shadow on there. The 5 o'clock shadow is really nice, actually. Look at the way they've applied the 5 o'clock shadow to the figure. Good facial features, excellent paint applications on the eyes and eyebrows, if not a little bit dead-eyed stare. But of course, that allows you to complete the Red Shadow lineup by doing some mix and matching between the figures. Well, all right then, folks, as you can see, with a little bit of jiggery-pokery amongst the accessories, a bit of a swappery-doodadery, you can get yourself together a nice Baron Ironblood, a nice Black Manger, and a lovely Red Shadow's Infantry Soldier with various combinations of bits and bobs from across the three figures. So, Baron Ironblood is the Count Iron Moon with the head from the infantry... from the undead... I've got them all mixed up. I can't remember. But basically, between the three of them, you can get yourself together a nice little display that is enormously reminiscent of the old Battle Action Force combo. And so, overall, my final thoughts are this. These are fun. These are fun. I haven't bought any 4-inch figures since I was a kid. Literally decades since I've had a 4-inch figure in my hand. It's the first time I've picked any up. And it was a whimsical purchase. It was a totally whimsical purchase. If I had one gripe, they are a lot more expensive than I would normally like to have spent, particularly of figures of this size. So how much more 4-inch figure review stuff you see going on this channel is yet to be seen, because they were very expensive, particularly by the time I'd paid the shipping cost and the import tax to get them into the country. They were very expensive, and I am at heart a 6-inch collector. But I couldn't wait for I didn't know that we were getting the 6-inch Order of the Crimson Moon stuff, and that's not coming until 2025 anyway, so I'll get plenty of pleasure out of these for the money that I have spent on them. That's my only gripe, really, is that they just came in really expensive, particularly shipping them overseas. But I've been blown away. I did not expect the articulation, did not expect the sculpt quality, and did not expect the added value of all the accessories they've chucked in. So I'm a happy chappy and would recommend a purchase if you're looking to try and get yourself a nice little Action Force display together. And of course, there's other characters above and beyond these that can help you fill out those ranks as well. So there we go. Okay, well, thanks very much for coming and hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this triple bill today of a review. If you have found it useful, it's helped you make a purchase decision, then please do give it a thumbs up, like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. But otherwise, really, all that's left to say is I hope you have a great day, hope you have a great week, and I'll see you around these parts again sometime soon for another vid. All right, take it easy, folks.